he was very courageous about if Israel would recognize Palestine.
Indonesia's president, the only Southeast Asian leader who will be at that peace summit in Sharm el-Sheikh, reflecting long-standing support for Gaza and the Palestinian cause.
Obviously, there are investment projects happening in Indonesia. First off, have you heard from the president? Has he called you?
Antara punca yang besar Malaysia ini tidak dihormati sebenarnya di mata dunia apabila kita bercakap isu yang menyentuh kedamaian antarabangsa.
Prabowo, Presiden Indonesia, hadir dijemput oleh Presiden Perancis ke perarakan Hari Kebangsaan Bastille Day. Mengapa Yang Amat Mohamed Tambun tidak dijemput?
Jangan sokong Anwar Ibrahim. Jangan ada perasaan simpati kepada Anwar Ibrahim. Jangan pernah ada bahawa Anwar tu ada sedikit kebaikan. Jangan.
Dunia kaget ketika satu negara yang tak pernah diprediksi tiba-tiba mencuri perhatian di panggung diplomasi global. Di tengah ketegangan dan hiruk-pikuk politik internasional, Indonesia muncul sebagai pusat sorotan. Sosok Prabowo Subianto menjadi perbincangan hangat setelah namanya disebut dalam KTT Perdamaian Gaza di Mesir, forum penting yang dihadiri para Liga Arab dan tokoh-tokoh dunia. Kehadiran Indonesia, negara yang bukan anggota Liga Arab, dianggap sebagai kejutan besar. Media internasional menyorot tajam langkah ini sebagai bukti nyata bahwa Indonesia kini bukan sekadar penonton, tetapi pemain penting dalam mewujudkan perdamaian dunia.
There were about 20 world leaders present in Egypt for the Gaza summit, but one leader caught everyone's attention. Indonesia's Prabowo Subianto was the only leader from Southeast Asia to be invited for the summit. The obvious question here is, why is an island country being made guarantor of peace in a faraway land? In this episode of Grey Zone, we look beyond what's obvious. I'm Ananya Datta. Let's get started. The Gaza peace process has dominated headlines ever since the US president unveiled his 20-point plan. Behind closed doors, ministers and negotiators have been shaping the constantly evolving roadmap. At the heart of the discussion is, which countries can ensure that peace in Gaza lasts? You would naturally think of Qatar, the steadfast Palestinian ally without whose support a deal would be impossible, or Saudi Arabia, a regional heavyweight that has long leveraged its influence to push for a Palestinian state. But last weekend, an unexpected call went out to Jakarta, inviting its president to the peace summit. Indonesia's Secretary of State confirmed the summit wasn't even on president's agenda. So the question is clear. Why is the Southeast Asian nation being asked to help secure peace in the volatile Middle East? You see, the answer lies in Indonesia's unique position on the world stage. It's not a direct party to the Israel-Palestine conflict. It has no army in the region, and yet it carries weight few might expect. First and foremost, Indonesia is the largest Muslim-majority country in the entire world. Its voice resonates across the Islamic world, giving it moral authority when it comes to Palestinian issues. That credibility is a rare asset in a conflict where trust is scarce. Second reason, Jakarta has cultivated a reputation as a neutral, pragmatic mediator. At this point, Indonesia can give lessons to the entire world on how to ace diplomacy. It has helped the country stay in everyone's good books without picking a side. And third, of course, is geopolitical leverage. It sits in a region that could have been a liability for others, but for Indonesia, it has turned it into an asset. It connects Asia to the vast Pacific, straddling two oceans and multiple power lines. This sprawling reach places Indonesia over some of the world's most vital sea lanes, including the Strait of Malacca, a choke point for global trade. Indonesia's growing influence doesn't come without pressure. The US president has made it clear that he wants more and more countries to establish diplomatic relations with Israel, and Indonesia is one of them. Getting the largest Muslim-majority country to recognize Israel will definitely be an optics win. President Subianto has already said that Indonesia would recognize Israel and back its security once the Palestine's independence is acknowledged.
We must guarantee statehood for Palestine, but Indonesia also declares that once Israel recognizes the independence and the statehood of Palestine, Indonesia will immediately recognize the state of Israel, and we will support all guarantees for the security of Israel.
Subianto has also instructed the Indonesian armed forces to prepare peacekeeping troops for possible deployment in the Gaza Strip. He's just waiting for an approval from the UNSC. Nevertheless, with its growing role in global diplomacy, control over key maritime choke points, and status as the world's largest Muslim-majority country, Jakarta is poised to become a power broker in conflicts far beyond Southeast Asia. The Gaza summit may just be the first of many instances where Indonesia leverages its soft power to shape hard power.
There was a moment where he was speaking with the president of Indonesia. It got a lot of attention. I know you've seen this. Obviously, there are investment projects happening in Indonesia. First off, have you heard from the president? Has he called you?
No, not about that, but I'm glad he acknowledges that I'm a good boy. I am a good boy. I'm honored that he knows about it. I've never met the president of Indonesia, but it doesn't surprise me given the magnitude and prominence of those projects that he knows about what I'm doing over there. The president has never met me, and he said, I'd love to meet your son because I know he has two of the biggest projects in Indonesia that started over a decade ago before, again, we even got involved in politics. I mean, again, I take that as a great honor, right? I mean, we've got two very prominent projects, and the guy asked to meet me because he has never met me. And so
he was very courageous about if Israel would recognize Palestine, countries should recognize Israel. Some criticize you for that, but that exemplifies, though, the kind of firm leadership, forward leadership that the world needs. And so we've run out of time, unfortunately. I think people are getting a sense that whether it's issues like ice for fishermen or trying to bring peace to a troubled region, Indonesia has a very strong leader. Thank goodness. Thank you very much, Mr. Ferguson.
Sementara itu, Presiden Prabowo Subianto menjadi sorotan dunia setelah dalam forum KTT D8 di Kairo, Mesir, mengingatkan negara-negara Muslim untuk bersatu mengatasi perbedaan agar menjadi kuat dan dapat memperjuangkan kemerdekaan Palestina.
Rakyat Indonesia kembali menunjukkan pada dunia komitmennya dalam memperjuangkan kemerdekaan Palestina. Dalam konferensi tingkat tinggi ke-11 Developing Aid atau KTT D8 di Kairo, Mesir pada Kamis waktu setempat, secara langsung Presiden Indonesia Prabowo Subianto mengajak negara-negara anggota D8 untuk bersatu mengatasi perbedaan. Prabowo menyerukan kesadaran negara-negara Muslim atas apa yang sedang terjadi dalam situasi global saat ini. Menurut Presiden Indonesia ke-8 tersebut, suara negara-negara Muslim saat ini tidak dipedulikan. Begitupun hak asasi manusia yang tidak berpihak untuk warga Muslim.
I call for unity. I call for cooperation. I call for let us, the Muslim countries, realize what is happening. We are not being respected. They do not care about our voice. Once again, I say they do not care about our voice. Human rights is not for Muslim people. This is the reality. This is very sad. Let us do what we can, but let us face reality.
Karena itulah Prabowo mengingatkan negara-negara anggota D8, yakni Mesir, Bangladesh, Iran, Malaysia, Nigeria, Pakistan, dan Turki untuk bersatu mengatasi perbedaan agar menjadi kuat dan bisa membantu Palestina.
Once again, we must learn from the geopolitical situation that's happening around us now. Without unity, without overcoming our differences, we cannot be strong. We say that we support Palestine, but if we are weak, how can we support Palestine? For that, D8 must be united. We must work together to be united. We must leave behind our differences. We must look for the greater good of our peoples. Without unity, without integration, we will be weak. And if we are weak, we will be exploited. That is the law of history.
Antara punca yang besar Malaysia ini tidak dihormati sebenarnya di mata dunia apabila kita bercakap isu yang menyentuh kedamaian antarabangsa. Orang tidak hormat kepada Malaysia. Sebab Malaysia tidak ada industri pertahanan. Malaysia tidak memiliki kepakaran yang hebat sehingga kita dapat mengeluarkan senjata kita sendiri yang memberi kekuatan untuk negara kita dan memberi mesej kepada negara-negara lain bahawa this is Malaysia. Maknanya paling kurang kita standing dengan Jepun, kita standing dengan Korea, kita standing dengan Iran, kita standing dengan Turki. Ke arah itu barulah kita dihormati. Dan kalau kita dihormati ini, insya-Allah para pelabur akan datang di negara-negara yang mereka yakin kita dihormati. Tapi hari ini kalau kita lihat negara kita lebih banyak kita bercakap kalau berlaku pencerobohan, kita kata kita bincang dengan damai. Ya, saya terima baik perbincangan dengan damai, tapi kita kena ingat orang lain tidak akan menghormati kita kalau hari ini mereka menceroboh. Selepas daripada ini mereka akan menceroboh lebih banyak lagi sebab kita tidak ada kekuatan.
Dari timur, muncul kekuatan baru yang membawa harapan dan wibawa bagi perdamaian. Pengaruh Indonesia benar-benar menakutkan.